What is up, guys? James Carter TV here for yet another edition of my 32 teams in 32 days 2015 NFL season preview videos I've been making throughout the month of August. And today we are talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that has made the playoffs for the past 4 seasons under what I like to call the Andy Dalton and AJ Green era, because those two, when drafted in the 2011 draft, started a new era for the Cincinnati Bengals, an era of playoff appearances but first round exit. Will that continue this season? Well, let's look at the team first. We'll look at their strengths, their weaknesses, we'll look at the toughness of their schedule, and then I will give you my win-loss prediction for the team. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals are a team with a good number of strengths, starting with primarily, to me, their offensive line. And they even fortified the depth on the offensive line as well in this 2014-15 offseason, as they drafted 2 offensive tackles with their first 2 picks in Cedric Abuhi and Jake Fisher to back up Andrew Whitworth and Andre Smith. Andrew Whitworth continues to be one of the elite left tackles at his position, and Andre Smith, continues to be a pretty good right tackle as well. So, but with that said, their backups and their supplanters are here now, and I don't really understand why. I get that, okay, you want to always make sure you have a left tackle ready to go, but I think, hey, Andrew Whitworth isn't really that old. I thought you could keep him at that position. I don't think you needed to go ahead and draft 2 tackles with your first 2 round picks. I don't understand that, to be very honest with you. And then the right tackle position as well. I mean, yeah, you have your tackles solidified for the next, I don't know how many years, but I think there's weaknesses on this team right now that needed addressing. And we're going to help you in 2015. These 2 picks are not going to help you in 2015. So if you're okay with being helped in 2018, in 2017, then go ahead, draft 2 tackles. But I want to win now. And the Bengals should want to win now. But with that said, the best feature on this team is our offensive line. Not only those 2 bookend tackles, but also in the middle, you have Clint Bowling on one left guard position, Kevin Zeitler at the right guard position, Russell Bodine in the middle, who's serviceable, but he could be upgraded, but nevertheless is a very strong unit overall. The second big strength for this team is their secondary for the most part. Now, Terrence Newman is out. Dre Kirkpatrick, who's been waiting in the shadows, if you will, or in the bushes to get an opportunity to play big minutes for this team, lurking in the shadows. Now he'll finally be out and in the open and ready to play, and in limited action he's been decent, and he could end up being really good. So Dre Kirkpatrick at one cornerback position, you still have Adam Jones at the other, and you have plenty of depth behind them because you've been drafting corners every year hoping that one of them is good. You have Darquez Dennard, you have Josh Shaw, Dre Kirkpatrick, who I already discussed. So there's good quarterback depth here, and then your safeties are pretty good too, and Reggie Nelson and George Iloka at the safety positions. Now, those are the only strengths, very strong strengths I see. There's a couple positions that are sort of in the middle for me, one being the defensive line. It leans towards a strength, but not really. I think you have 2 strong points. I think you have 2 weak points. I think you have one and really strong point in Geno Atkins, who, when he's on the field, when he's healthy, he's one of the most dominant interior pass rushers in the NFL today. You have Carlos Dunlap, who won't get you over 10 sacks, but he'll be a consistent run threat and pretty consistent pass rusher when on the field. But then your other 2, I have question marks. I think Michael Johnston's just done. I think he's just finished. I don't think this is a guy that's going to do anything for you. I mean, in 2013, he had, 3.5 sacks, or maybe it was 4. He had 4 sacks, and then the next year he had 3.5. Or it was, maybe that was reversed, but either way, 4 sacks, basically, the past 2 years. He's done. He's finished. Yeah, as a pass rusher, maybe he'll do something for you in the run game, but at this point, he's not offering you a great pass rush. So where is the pass rush going to come from in this team? Yes, Geno Atkins is a great interior pass rusher, but Carlos Dunlap isn't going to get you over 10 sacks. So I don't know where you're going to get sack production from, because to me, you only have 2 guys. You only have 2 guys that are going to get you sack numbers in Carlos Dunlap and Geno Atkins. Look out for the pass rush being a big issue for the Cincinnati Bengals coming into the season, as it was last season. And Domata Peko in the middle isn't very good and needs to be upgraded. Devin Still, you hope, will be able to progress and challenge him. Margus Hunt, who mainly plays defensive end, though, he also, I forgot to mention, he hasn't really shown you anything as well. So there are some issues on this defensive line. Another position that's in the middle for me, running back. I do like Jeremy Hill. I do like what he showed in 2014. He ran the ball well. Can he do it in? Can he be a bell cow for this offense? I don't know. We'll see. But you liked where you could see certain games, certain big yard runs that he would have. Could be a game-changing running back for this team, and Andy Dalton needs all the help he can get. Giovanni Bernard looks like he's just a little toy, someone that will be trotted out there for a nice play here, a nice play there, but it doesn't look like he's going to get consistent snaps. I'd be shocked if he played 30% of the snaps this season. Rex Burhead and Cedric Pierman behind them, they're not going to do anything, so don't even talk about them. Tight end, another position kind of in the middle. Tyler Eifert can make a nice play every now and then, but they don't have much behind them. You drafted Croft out of Rutgers. The tight end position is okay. Now, there are some weaknesses for this football team. And to me, the first weakness, I know a lot of people are going to disagree, but this has been a weakness not only this season, but I think for the past 3 seasons, and it's wide receiver. Now, yes, you do have A.J. Green, and he is a great wide receiver on the outside, top 5 wide receiver. Okay, fine. Then you have Marvin Jones, who I think is one of the most overrated wide receivers in the NFL. He's very unspectacular. I think is a number 3. I think when he's your number 2, you have problems. And Mohamed Sanu is not a wide receiver. He's a toy. He can throw a ball. He can catch a ball. He can run a ball. He can return a ball. He's not a consistent wide receiving threat. The wide receiver, the wide receiver is a position I thought the Bengals should have invested in this 2015 NFL draft. They didn't. I think that's going to come back to haunt them, especially when you have a quarterback like Andy Dalton, who is my next weakness, by the way, who needs all the help he can get. If you want to win with Andy Dalton, you need to surround him with supreme talent. Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu and Brandon Tate, that's not supreme talent. That's not even close. That's what I like to call like the Jaguars wide receiving core. I mean, that's nothing, guys. So outside of A.J. Green, your wide receivers are pretty freaking bad. So I think the wide receiver position is something the Bengals should have invested in. I think it's going to come back to haunt them. Next weakness is quarterback, and it's now to a point where it is a weakness. Andy Dalton last season. Yes, A.J. Green was not out there for an extended amount of time, but still. Andy Dalton was only sacked 21 times last year, indicating to me, and it should indicate to you, that he had great pass protection. I mean, this guy only sacked a little more than a sack per game. That's pretty good numbers right there. That tells you have a pretty good offensive line. I mean, that's the biggest strength on your football team. And with that said, he only had 19 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. I mean, honestly, Andy Dalton, this was his second worst year. I mean, his rookie season was his worst, and then to me, last year was his second worst season. So has he already peaked? Has he already capped out? Is that the best we're going to get out of Andy Dalton? Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, this guy is supposed to be a guy that should improve. The only thing improving is his completion percentage. It doesn't matter who's that offensive coordinator, whether it be Jay Gruden or Hugh Jackson. It's still very unimpressive. Still, nothing Andy Dalton to me. And we already know about his playoff troubles and his playoff missteps and fumbles and interceptions. And at this point, Andy Dalton is looking like more like he's hurting this team more than helping it. And maybe A.J. McCarron should get a good hard look at it. And I think maybe that's what they're going to have to do if they really want to win a Super Bowl, because Cincinnati fans, getting the playoffs should not be your end goal. I mean, winning the Super Bowl should be your end goal, and it's not going to happen with Andy Dalton. Unless if you have like A.J. Green and Odell Beckham and Calvin Johnson at the wide receiver position, and even then, you may only make the AFC Championship. So, Andy Dalton's bad. He's bad at this point. He's a below average quarterback at his position, and that to me is a weakness when you have a below average quarterback at your position. All right, linebacker is a weakness for this team, especially with the injury to Vontaze Burfict. When is he coming back? No one knows. If you know, please tell me. So with that said, You have Emmanuel Lemieux starting at the outside linebacker position, or one of them. He's not very good. You have Ray Maluga in the middle, who's been on a steady decline for years now. And you have Vincent Ray behind him, who won't really do much for you. You signed A.J. Hawk. Packers fans are so happy that you signed A.J. Hawk. That should tell you everything you need to know. And you drafted Paul Dalton out of TCU. Saying that he's going to lead this linebacking core as a rookie is saying too much for me. So your linebackers are weak. Now, with all this said, let's look at their schedule, and then let's come up with a win-loss prediction for this team. Now, this is a pretty difficult schedule. You guys go up against the AFC West, including Week 1 trips to Oakland, and then the next week you host San Diego, and then in Week 4 you host Kansas City, and then in Week 16 you go to Denver. That's tough, and Week 1 might be a trap game. I mean, Oakland to start the season might surprise you, might shock you, and I have them going 4-12. It's not like I love Oakland, but hey, they could surprise you Week 1. So AFC West is not tough. I mean, it's not easy. You're in the AFC North, obviously, so that means you have to go up against the Steelers twice, the Ravens twice, and the Browns twice. And yes, the Browns, because, hey, you lost to them. You whipped their butt and they whipped yours. Actually, I think it was the other way around. I think they whipped your butt first. And then when they started Johnny Manziel, you guys whipped them. So yeah, you still might lose to them. I know you're going to lose to the Steelers, and I know you're going to lose to the Ravens. That's not even a question. So 3-3 in the division. Now, you guys go up against the NFC West. All right. Seattle, you host them. Good. Because if you were going there, it'd be a definite loss. You host St. Louis. Good. That should be an easy game for you because I don't have much faith in St. Louis at all. You go to San Francisco. I think this might be tougher than some people might think. And you go to Arizona as well. This might be a little bit more manageable for you, but it's still kind of tough. And then you guys also go up against two AFC teams in the form of the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. That'll be sort of tough for you. And you host the Houston Texans. I think you'll beat them. Now, with all of this said, the Cincinnati Bengals, what will their story be in 2015? Now, I just went through the whole roster and everything. It's the same team. I mean, this is the exact same team for the most part as it was in 2014. You know, they never go after free agents. That their free agent acquisition this year is freaking Michael Johnson, and he won't do anything. He won't. You also drafted people that won't play, okay? Paul Dawson is the only rookie that's going to play. So really this is the same team, except you lost Terrence Newman, fine, whatever. So really this is the same team as it was in 2014, except Andy Dalton, what are you going to get from him? Will you get the 2014 version of him? Because if you do, you're in trouble. Are you going to get him the 2013 version of him? Because if you do, you're okay, but you're not very good. Best case scenario, I see the Bengals, they could go 11-5. I mean, they've done it before. They could do it again. Again, this is a team that's very similar. They're not changing. They're not getting better. They're not getting worse. Worst case scenario, this could be I don't know, maybe they blow up. Maybe Andy Dalton sucks. Marvin Lewis will be fired. Andy Dalton will be out at quarterback. And even then, worst case, I say 7-9. My prediction is 9-7. I think you'll be in the playoff hunt as you guys normally are, and you normally make it. But the schedule's a little tough, and you guys aren't getting better while everyone else is. Like the Ravens are getting better, the Chargers are getting better, the Chiefs are getting better. You guys are just kind of just sitting there hoping that, hey, maybe Andy Dalton will do something for us this year. So while everyone else is getting better, you guys are just sitting on your hands. I think someone's going to pass you up, and I think this is finally going to be the year that Cincinnati Bengals do not make the playoffs. Well, until next time, James Carter TV, I'm out. Peace.